Welcome to Middle America News. I'm AC, and today we're going to discuss reparations. I have with me two middle class Americans. Here's John, who's a broker, and David, who's a retired school teacher. So let's get into it. Do you think reparations is a good thing, John?
No, we're trying to compensate people from an era long past, and there's no reason to be giving them better reparations. They need to work.
Okay, understood. What do you think, David?
Well, I would say if we're going to give people reparations, it should be like this. If you've been on a social service, probably from the day before you were born in the womb, and you're 30 years old now, and you're crying to me that you want reparations, you've had reparations. If there are people that haven't, I'd say, hey, get in line. But I'd say no one should be in line that's ever been on some kind of social assistance, at least for, you know, a few years. That is reparations.
Okay. Reparations, is it a good thing? I think reparations is a really hard question because there are a lot of people that believe that because of the past that people should be rewarded for it, and there are a lot of people that are against it. In my view, I don't think it's a good thing because, like John, I believe you should work for what you get. I don't believe in like freebies, so I don't think that it's a good idea. All right, John, the next question: do you think it's the right thing to do?
No, for the same reasons. I mean, if there's nothing wrong with helping someone up, but to give them compensation for something that happened 200 years ago, it doesn't make sense. And all you're going to do is create an environment of people that want handouts rather than to go out and work and accomplish something for themselves. You're not helping them. You're actually hindering them.
What do you think, David?
No. Well, to start with, I'd say, where do you begin? I mentioned this to you the other day at lunch. The orphan trains that were happening in the middle of this country in the 1850s, they were taking white kids and advertising them, selling them at fairs, and they sold them all over the central United States to farmers. They were white kids that were slaves. They actually sold millions of them around the world.
Wow.
Do they deserve some reparations? Why not?
Well, asking if it's the right thing to do, again, the country is really divided on this issue. I mean, slavery back then, I mean, it was terrible, and we can all agree on that.
Absolutely.
But to have people pay other people for something they weren't involved in, to me, I have a hard time with it, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, let's go on to the next question. John, do you think it will bring more division to the country?
Absolutely. Like you said just now, you're asking people that had nothing to do with it pay for someone else that didn't even participate in the situation, in the slavery. Absolutely, the slavery was wrong. But slavery in that era was commonplace around the world. It wasn't just in the United States. And then what about the black people that also had slaves in America that we don't talk about very often? They also are we going to pay reparations to those people as well? No, I don't think so.
David, what do you think?
Yeah, or what about the black people that held slaves in their country, in Africa? They didn't just go over there and kidnap these people. They were victims of war. They were captured. They were owned, claimed by the group that won that war, and then they'd sell them. It was a trade, and that doesn't make it right. I'm just saying, uh, don't blame white folks for being the first people that started slavery. Blacks were the first slave owners, not white folks. They were just the first buyers.
Okay. Well, I think it would bring more division because I kind of look at it as like Joe Biden and the college funding, paying off student loans. How many people who didn't go to college is going to feel good about helping pay for someone else's loan when they maybe went to technical school or something like that and spent 10 grand to start their career and nobody helped them? And then we're supposed to help people that we don't know have anything to do with because they just feel like they shouldn't pay their debts. So I think it would really bring more division. And the other thing I would like to say is I was never a slave. Okay. I watched it on TV, things like that. And of course, when we watch that, we all look at it and go, this was just terrible, right? But the bottom line is you have as much of an idea of what it's like to be a slave as me, because I've never been whipped. I've never been working all day in the heat and not getting paid. I haven't experienced any of those things. So, in my opinion, your experience is you have just as much experience as I do. And in my opinion, I think it just brings more division, and I'm not for it. All right, John, let's go to the next
Wait a
question.
second, Aaron. Let me throw this out there.
Okay.
I'd say a thing that rubs me the wrong way is people don't acknowledge this, but many whites back in those times when during the Civil War gave their lives because they were against slavery. Well, why don't we ever hear about that? During the civil rights times, there was white people who were friends with black folks. They'd go down south. Hey, the ignorant KKK types were killing them both. You know, I mean, white people were not just all inhumane. And I'd hope to think that my family, I know, we were not from privilege. There was nobody that in my family that held a slave, and my folks didn't raise us to dislike any particular race. You know, it just that didn't. I don't have anything to do with that. I'm sure.
Okay. John, this question is going to you. Do you think it divides the country more when we use a prefix to describe or talk about someone like he's Mexican American or African American? Aren't we just Americans? Why do we always have to put a prefix in front of it? Or when you're describing someone, yeah, he's a black guy, whatever. Do you think that also divides the country, that we always have to use that prefix describing or someone?
We shouldn't have to. I mean, I'm Puerto Rican, but I've never called myself Puerto Rican. I call myself an American. So you're absolutely right. I do believe. And honestly, I like to think that we should call them American Black or American Japanese, because first we're American.
I've heard that before from someone. What do you think, David?
Well, I'd say that I don't do a lot of thinking about it. When it's used nowadays, yes, it's divisive. But I remember hearing about Italian Americans or Irish Americans. That wasn't the thing back then. Now it's kind of a little different context, and I think, yeah, it's just another thing that's divisive.
Well, my opinion is I don't like it at all. I think we're all Americans. And I believe if you want to describe me, you just say tall, dark, and handsome. But I don't like when people say African or whatnot. Just I'm a regular American. We're all Americans. And I believe we need to get away from that.
Absolutely.
All right. John, this one's going to you again. Let's see. On a scale of 1 to 10 in your day-to-day life, how divided do you feel the country is on race?
I don't feel it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is. I hear about it in the news all the time, but I honestly don't feel it. And it comes down to the individual, how you see the people around you. So I don't know, scale of 1 to 10 being what? 1 being
1 being not very prejudiced, up to 10 being extremely prejudiced.
I say maybe 2 to 3. That's the way I see it.
What about you, David?
I see a big change. When I was a kid, my friends were all kind of different races, but the majority of people were white in this valley in the area that I live. But when I got older and I was teaching kids like in high school, I saw that, wow, it's really dropped. I'm talking about this racism stuff. I saw all kind of mixed couples of all sorts of races. And then this past few years, it's just, I don't know what it's like at school anymore, but I just hear so much about um, this black white thing. I think it's Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and people who mix it up, whip it up, and there's money in it. That's why it's happening.
Yeah, I believe that racism is on a scale of probably 1, in my opinion, because we just had a president that was African American. So there's no way that that would have happened if this country was prejudiced. And then on my day to day, I do a lot of boating and activities, and I meet people all the time, and they're always nice. I don't care what race they are. I rarely run into someone that's rude or mean or disrespectful. So I'm not a fan of that, and I don't believe the country is divided like they would like you to believe. I think that just comes from the main media that's putting that out there. But if you go out there and you have dinner or you go out and do an activity, you'll see that the majority of people out there are friendly, nice, and they don't really care about your color. And to be honest with you, whenever I go out there, I see the majority of people are mixed. It's not just like they're one like Caucasian or just Mexican. A lot of them are mixed, you know. So we're not there anymore. I think that's a thing that has died out with the generations, and the further we get ahead, the less prejudice there is. I think that's an old generation thing that they want to keep promoting and trying to keep this country divided.
Aaron, I agree. I was gonna say before, but I didn't get it out there. The same thing. I don't think that it's happening in society, but society is being gaslit and brainwashed by mainstream media. I mean, they're just constantly talk about how racist Trump is. Come on, he is not racist. He's done all kind of wonderful things for the black community, and
I think Trump has done more for African Americans than any other president, including Barack Obama.
right.
So I'm on that page.
I wish Trump would advertise that.
Yeah, he probably will. We only have a few more minutes, so the last question is, what idea do you have to bring this country closer together? And while you guys are thinking about that, I'm going to tell you what mine is. Drill, baby, drill. If you get the economy back in order and everybody is making money again, that's what brings people together. We just got to get this economy back on the right road and everybody will be happy. That's my opinion. Drill, baby, drill. What about you, John?
No, absolutely. I mean, we've got to bring costs back down. And once, like you said, drill, baby, drill, oil affects everything, affects transportation, affects our food costs, our fuel costs for our automobiles. So absolutely, we definitely need to get our economy going.
Okay, Aaron, I'm going to give you my conservative Christian opinion. I say whether you're a Christian or not, read that Bible like your life depends on it, because it does. I mean, if people would follow the Bible, we wouldn't have these problems, but the Lord gives us free choice, and I don't think they're going to choose it.
Well, I think that's what Trump and Vivek is trying to do now. They're trying to get the patriotism back in this country. They're trying to get Christianity back in this country and give people something to believe in besides all of these woke ideas. So I'd like to thank you both for being on the show. I hope everyone liked it, and we'll be back again next week. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching Middle America News. Hit that button, do it. Stop it.